All because of a dare. We do a lot of silly things in our youth, often without thinking of what the consequences will be. But then again, we are supposed to learn from any mistakes that we make and grow wiser. How was I supposed to know an incident from my youth would lead to where I am today? It all began a few years ago during a visit to my Aunt Jessica. And my sister and I were in my cousin's bedroom talking about all sorts of things, listening to their choice in music, which happened to be an up-and-coming all-girl group called Jade. Jade's latest single Love Your Man belted out of the hi-fi speakers. So Catherine looked at me. Who in Jade do you fancy? Which one would you like to date? I can answer that, my sister Arwen interrupted. He has a thing for the lead singer. She paused, looking at the album cover. Rebecca aka Bex. It was true, I did like Bex. There was something about the twinkle in her green eyes. Samantha, my other cousin, laughed. Mike, you'll not get a look in. I hear she likes her boys to dress as girls. Is that a bit kinky or what? Or what? I added. I saw that article in Femme. Her boyfriend Peter dressed as a girl to help them out when they first started. Apparently, it's how they got together. I shook my head. Plus, there are a lot of rumors out there about Jade. Catherine looked at me and I smiled back. I wondered what she was thinking. My thoughts were soon answered when Catherine suddenly said, I bet we can make Michael look like a really pretty girl. He's thin enough. Samantha giggled. I doubt he'd do it. She paused. In fact, I am so sure he won't do it. I dare him to do it. She looked right at me. You heard me. I dare you to let us dress you up and make you up to look like a girl. Well, attempt to make you up to look like Bex. Arwen laughed, but Sam continued. We'll also take some photos and post them to the Jade fan site. Catherine looked at her sister. Sam, you can't serious? She smiled. But of course it's your choice, Mike. We can't force you. Catherine was always a voice of reason. But Sam has dared you. I looked at the three girls before me. I was 16 years old and I had been dared to dress as a girl by my 15-year-old cousin. Backing down was not an option, but the thought of having to put on girls' clothes both scared and excited me. And if I didn't, Samantha wouldn't let me hear the last of it. Okay, I said with a look of resignation. I'll do it. I'll let you dress me up like a girl and put makeup on me. But I don't want to look like a drag queen. I took a breath. Make me look like a girl my age or it's no deal. That we can do, Catherine said with a smile. I'll do such a good job you'll look like a new person. She hugged me. And it will be like the summer we were 10. I blushed. When I was 10, my aunt had held a fancy dress party and all the children had all dressed as Disney princes or princesses. And before you ask, I wasn't dressed as Prince Charming. Due to an error by the costumers, I ended up dressed as Alice. Which was embarrassing for me, but I stuck to my guns and went to the party. Arwen spoke up. Hey, she winkled her nose. Why don't we all dress up? It'll mean Mike isn't the odd one out. She paused in thought. We can all dress as teenage schoolgirls like in Jade's video set in a school. It was her turn to giggle. Then we could post any pictures to the fan site. Arwen looked at me. We'll work some serious magic. And besides, no one guessed when you were 10, remember? I nodded. Work your magic, ladies. I'm in your hands. Luckily for me, my cousins had their own ensuite bathroom. So Catherine told me to go and have a good wash. I was relatively hair-free, which met with her approval. So I undressed and had a good wash, making sure my face was clean. I borrowed a bathrobe and stepped out. I placed my boy clothes on Catherine's bed. Catherine smiled. "Come into my parlor," she grinned. "You're going to look great when I've finished with you. It'll surprise even your dad." She handed me a pair of her school panties. "Take your boxers off and put these on. Don't forget to tuck your boy bits. I moved to go to the bathroom." "It's all right, Michelle, we're all girls here." I blushed slightly as I changed. "Can I choose a different name other than Michelle?" I asked. "Michelle is way too obvious. What would you like us to call you?" "What about C.J.?" I replied. "Catherine after you and Mom and Jessica after your mom." "I like it," Sam said with a smile. "It's also the name Bex's boyfriend used. So it will have history behind it. And the fans will love it." Luckily, Catherine and I, and Sam and Arwen, were the same size, so getting the uniform to fit wouldn't be a problem. But they soon realized I was lacking a little something. "He doesn't have any boobs." That was soon rectified as Catherine handed me one of her bras and some fillers. They had decided to wear their school's summer uniform of a green checked gingham summer dress with short sleeves, white socks, a green blazer jacket and black shoes. Catherine then proceeded to make me up. And the girls had covered all the mirrors so I couldn't see what I looked like. Sam and Arwen got ready in the bathroom. I could only guess at what Catherine was doing. But she gave me a light covering of foundation and powder, eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, a little blush on my cheeks and lipstick. The makeup was all very subtle and not overpowering. She then sprayed me with some of her perfumed deodorant. I tried not to sneeze. Samantha then got to work on my hair, turning my male hair cut into a trendy female style. We all stood in front of the mirror and Catherine quickly removed a towel. Four very pretty girls looked back. I couldn't recognize myself. Catherine had certainly worked some kind of magic. She had turned me from a geeky 16-year-old boy into a very presentable 16-year-old girl. I looked at myself, mesmerized by the vision I was seeing. "So C.J., Catherine proceeded to ask. "How do the clothes feel? You can be as honest as you like." I was lost in thought. Brief memories of when I was 10 came flooding back. I didn't admit it then, but I liked being dressed as a girl. "C.J.?" Catherine nudged me. "The clothes? How do you feel?" "I feel comfortable, strangely comfortable. I miss having pockets." I laughed. "But then again, this is only temporary." I didn't want to admit it at the time, but I wanted to dress as a girl 24/7. I felt like C.J. was who I was meant to be. By this time Sam had fetched Uncle Jeff to take the photographs. His face was a picture when he saw me. "Michael, is that you?" he smiled. "You look a little like Catherine. It's amazing the resemblance that you two have." "Why, thank you, Uncle Jeff," I said, hamming it up slightly with a curtsy. "You say the nicest things," not noticing that my voice had gotten softer, a little more feminine. "When we've taken these pictures, we'll have to show everyone." Uncle Jeff smiled. "You all look amazing." He had us all in a line looking at the camera over our shoulder, a group shot all standing side by side, two of us sitting with two behind the chairs, a candid fun shot, and individual shots. He then stood lost in thought. "How about some pictures taken outside?" he asked. I took some persuading, but we went outside and more pictures were taken. And then as we came in, I shudder as I think of it now. My aunt and my mother saw me and smiled. My. Little Alice has grown up into a very pretty girl. I didn't think I'd see you again. Go and give me a twirl so I can see you, Aunt Jessica said. You should have been a girl. Do you have a name? C.J., I answered in my girly voice, which didn't go unnoticed. Catherine Jessica, I added. My mother walked over towards me but was stopped by my father, who took one look at me. You little faggot. You will go and wipe all that muck off your face and get changed into your real clothes. Now. Jim, it was only. Dad cut Uncle Jeff off. I will not have any boy of mine dress up as a girl. He is a boy. But Jim, Aunt Jessica said. She dressed as Alice when she was 10, my aunt paused. You didn't seem to mind then. What's wrong with now? My father was angry. He was a child when he was 10. He is now a teenage boy and should act accordingly, but Uncle Jim, Samantha pleaded. I dared him to do it. If you want to blame anyone, I'll blame him. He accepted the dare. He'll live with the consequences. I was ushered upstairs. All trace of C.J. was removed. It was a dejected Michael who came downstairs. I had never felt so low. And at the time I had no idea what my father had in store for me. I found out when I got home. Michael, you're to go up to your room. I'll be up shortly. He was curt and to the point. Had seeing me as an older version of Alice scared him, I would never know. But I felt his wrath that day. To keep us in line, we were threatened with a bamboo cane that was about 4 feet in length. It had never been used until that fateful day. I was told to face my bedroom wall and stand up straight. That cane struck left to right, right to left across my back. I lost count of how many times it struck me. The wound stung. He finished, and as I turned to face him, he struck me across the face. My left eye started to swell, and tears that I fought to hold back flowed freely as I collapsed onto my bed. Michael. And so help me, if I ever see you wearing anything remotely feminine again, you'll receive the same punishment. I'll not have my son dress up like some sissy faggot. I had a reply, but I was in such pain I couldn't respond. I just lay there. I could hear my parents shouting. The argument and counter-argument, the shouting, the swearing, the threats. I just lay there hugging my Scarlett Johansson body pillow close, with my tears soaking into the fabric, but I remember awakening to the front door slamming, its vibration knocking a model Spitfire off my shelf. Had I fallen asleep? I remember a soft voice asking, Michael, are you awake? It was my mother. Everything will be all right, sweetheart. Everything will be all right. I don't know why he lost it when he saw you in the dress. But I think he was scared that he was losing his son. I don't want to be like him, Mom. I tried opening my left eye. I don't want to be like him. He hurt me for no reason. He hit me. All he had to do was talk to me. If being like him means I have to hit people, then I'd rather. Don't speak like that, Michael. I sensed my mother had tears in her eyes. You'll pull through this experience. It will be just like what you did when you were 10. But this time you'll be stronger for it. When I was 10? That's in the past, sweetheart. All you need to worry about is today. She kissed the side of my head. I asked your father to leave. And he has done so. I told him if he didn't leave I would involve the police. He'll be living out of a suitcase for a while. I winced as she gathered me up into a hug. Scarlet's all wet. She'll dry out, Mum. Scarlet will dry out. As I look back on that day, I realize my father didn't fully understand how I felt. All my father had to do was talk to me, ask me questions, and I would have answered. For you see, dear reader, Catherine's makeover combined with Samantha's initial dare reawakened the feelings I had tried to hide for all those years. And then my father's punishment had sealed the deal. I made up my mind that I would become C.J., let Michael slowly fade away, and be true to myself. I knew that the journey would be hard, with many trials and tests. 10 years later. It was my unofficial birthday. The day, 6 years ago, I had my final surgeries to become Catherine Jessica. Throughout my transition, my family had been there for me. I had arranged this little celebration to say thank you. My makeup was flawless, all the practice and lessons had paid off. My hair hung down in waves just below my shoulders. The halter neck black dress, which came to a little above my knees, showed just a hint of cleavage, which was all my own, and I wore a small necklace which held a small transgendered symbol, a present from Bex, around my neck. I had picked Athena's as the meeting place because I considered it neutral ground. And I had invited everyone, especially my father, because after all, if it weren't for him, but he declined, and you can guess why. My mother was the first to arrive, and when she saw me she was all smiles and enveloped me in a hug, kissing both cheeks. No words passed between us. Arwen was close behind. Her reaction brought tears to my eyes as her husband gently kissed my hand, and I felt a slight tug on my dress as my 5-year-old niece Michelle attempted to catch my attention. Auntie Rin, Auntie Rin. All I could do was smile. 6 years ago, I was unprepared for my aunt and uncle's reaction to my decision to transition. I had a feeling they knew the choice I would make. I think it was from the time I spent as a girl when I was younger, but kept the knowledge to themselves. For that I am grateful. Aunt Jess, Uncle Jeff. Thank you for coming. I hugged them both. You're a beautiful woman, Catherine, Uncle Jeff said. You've did the right thing. You've made me proud, C.J., Aunt Jessica looked into my eyes. All because of a dare. We do a lot of silly things in our youth, often without thinking of what the consequences will be. But then again, we are supposed to learn from any mistakes that we make and grow wiser. How was I supposed to know an incident from my youth would lead to where I am today? It all began a few years ago during a visit to my Aunt Jessica. And my sister and I were in my cousin's bedroom talking about all sorts of things, listening to their choice in music, which happened to be an up-and-coming all-girl group called Jade. Jade's latest single, Love Your Man, belted out of the hi-fi speakers. So Catherine looked at me. Who in Jade do you fancy? Which one would you like to date? I can answer that, my sister Arwen interrupted. He has a thing for the lead singer. She paused, looking at the album cover. Rebecca, aka Bex. It was true, I did like Bex. There was something about the twinkle in her green eyes. Samantha, my other cousin, laughed. Mike, you'll not get a look in. I hear she likes her boys to dress as girls. Is that a bit kinky or what? Or what? I added. I saw that article in Femme. Her boyfriend Peter dressed as a girl to help them out when they first started. Apparently, it's how they got together. I shook my head. Plus, there are a lot of rumors out there about Jade. Catherine looked at me and I smiled back. I wondered what she was thinking. My thoughts were soon answered when Catherine suddenly said, I bet we can make Michael look like a really pretty girl. He's thin enough. Samantha giggled. I doubt he'd do it. She paused. In fact, I am so sure he won't do it. I dare him to do it. She looked right at me. You heard me. I dare you to let us dress you up and make you up to look like a girl. Well, attempt to make you up to look like Bax. Arwen laughed, but Sam continued. We'll also take some photos and post them to the Jade fan site. Catherine looked at her sister. Sam, you can't. Serious? She smiled. But of course it's your choice, Mike. We can't force you. Catherine was always a voice of reason. But Sam has dared you. I looked at the three girls before me. I was 16 years old and I had been dared to dress as a girl by my 15-year-old cousin. Backing down was not an option, but the thought of